Hi, I want to welcome you to Naviance Basics. We're going live with Sarah Whip, so enjoy.
Good evening.
Hello.
I know it's been a long week already. It's only Tuesday. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me to come here. My name is Sarah Whip. I am a Naviance consultant from Naviance. So I was hired by Prince George's County to support the implementation and use of Naviance. Have any parents heard of Naviance before today? No, that's cool. So Naviance is a college and career readiness tool that your students have access to. Prince George's County started it with about 17 schools last year and implemented it at those schools. This school was one of them, so students got to start getting familiar with the college and career resource tools available to them. Specifically, we're just going to only be talking about the scholarships tools and what you guys can find in the scholarships tool in Naviance. So just a little bit of background about what Naviance does and how Prince George's County uses it. For parents, just to get you a bit of an understanding of how the state of Maryland uses Naviance, this is a list of all the counties that use Naviance. Naviance is used by about 40% of all high schools in the country as a college and career readiness tool to help your students understand what their next steps are after graduation. So it helps them explore careers, take assessments that help them learn more about themselves, and also do that scholarship and college search if it's applicable to them. So these are all the counties that use Naviance. I think there are only about 3 counties in the state of Maryland that aren't using Naviance, but don't worry, our sales team is close behind to get them too. So just a little bit more background. These are the 17 schools. Sorry if it's a little tiny. These are the 17 schools that were using it last year. This August, it went towards the board approval to have the entire district use Naviance, and so it was a unanimous vote and hands down selected for the college and career readiness tool in the district. So just a little bit of background for your knowledge, since you may not have heard Naviance before today. In terms of what your students can do in Naviance, obviously they can research colleges, scholarships, and careers. They're also able to create individualized plans that help them understand what are the educational requirements needed to pursue various careers. So if they're interested in becoming an engineer, what types of roles are there? If they're interested in math, what kind of roles are there? So breaking it down based off of their personal interests is the primary goal. So if you do have students at home, maybe if you have more than one kid at home, we're also in the middle schools as well, helping formulate those career interests as middle schoolers and helping them evolve over time as they prepare for graduation. So we're starting with 6th grade, but your students definitely have access to all of the opportunities that the 6th grade students have right now. So if you want to play a little catch up, your students definitely can. So they can take all of our career assessments in our platform as well, so that everything's available to them. What the district has done is identify different activities for each grade level and what all their students want them to be doing, so that Prince George's County can be clear and positive that every student had the same opportunities for their college and career readiness. So this is what your students will have access to completing. They'll be able to request transcripts and letters of recommendation for institutions as well. The various schools that they're applying to, they can make those requests directly through Naviance so that their counselors get it and send those materials off without any stress or worrying about where those documents are. And then you can also do the basic college searches and career searches. We're very similar to like a Google search, where we have profiles on every institution in the country. So your students can use this really as a one-stop shop for getting information related to their college searches. Additionally, we try to create positive goals and creating positive habits for students. So we encourage students to create goals for themselves and see those through and build some accountability and responsibility as well. Any questions so far? I get like 25 minutes. That's why I'm picking up the pace. All right. So what I was going to do next is actually do a demonstration of what the platform looks like, so that you guys as parents can see what it is that your students use. If you guys want to log in as well now, then your parents can follow along with you too. So I'll give you guys a second to log in. If you're not familiar, you go to your Prince George's County school site. They know? Okay. I'm just making sure.
Oh, you need help. Do you know Mike's?
No, I do not. He's at work.
If I log you under mine, you can use this demo.
I think it's through student services, right? The
Mhm.
website.
I was gonna say, can I do my actual? They go through.
Yeah, through Clever.
I may have a student. Gracefully,
Yes.
can you come over and sit with my thing and show them? Because you got your phone, you have it on your phone. Because my address is saved on my laptop and my desktop.
Do you just want me to log in as me?
Yeah, please.
Give me a thumbs up if you're logged in.
Or next somebody who
It'll be the button that says Naviance. It'll probably be towards the bottom.
Missing things. Where on the website it shows? Because I have that app.
Oh, you use the app, okay. PGCPS, and then into Clever. Anybody who did a schedule change request, you should know where to go. It's the exact same place you went to ask for.
While you guys are still just wrapping up, I'm gonna log into my student as well.
Available.
Does it? Go ahead, do you think?
So if it's the school site, student services.
Student resources,
Student resources.
and student resources, then log in to Clever, log in with Active Directory.
Okay. Oh, where's, oh,
It's up.
yes, you're.
And for your students as well, as they're logging in, your students can access this through their phones as well. They don't have to download an application to do this. They can get to it directly from their phones without having to download anything from the Play Store or from the App Store. They can just log in the exact same way that they just did on the computer, and it automatically gets them access to from their phone. So on the Clever page, it's all the way at the bottom. It's the very last one. It says Naviance.
You're in. You're already.
Get out of your
Maybe
way.
got you with that.
I've never seen it from this side, so I don't.
All the way down to the bottom.
So it's the same exact way. I don't know where on the school website. Can you, they don't know where to go to on the school
On
website.
the school website, you said academic.
PGCPS.org, student resources. If you open up the student resources page, there's a big fat button right in your face, log into Clever. Click it. And then you have to log in with Active Directory, use your same login credentials. And then it takes you right to, if you scroll down, you'll see Naviance. You see login to Clever?
Yep,
Yeah,
she just got there.
I'm about to do it.
Cool. All right, so while she's just getting in, this is what the Naviance site looks like itself. The first thing your students will be able to see is kind of a list of things that they can do in terms of favoriting colleges and careers. Additionally, as your students scroll down, there's already activities assigned for them to be working on and to be completing. So those are things that your counselor and the district is encouraging your students to work on in order to build out their college and career readiness tools. So those are the activities that they're assigning to everyone, different activities for different grade levels to help prepare students from 6th grade to 12th grade and their college and career readiness. So for your students, just in terms of searching for scholarships specifically, we're gonna go to the far top right corner. My screen is a little tinier. Your students should be able to see a colleges tab in the top right corner of the screen. When you click on colleges, you can go ahead and click on the colleges home button. So this is where your students go to do anything college related, whether it's searching for colleges, adding colleges to their favorites list, or exploring different college opportunities and research tools that we have available to your students. Hi. Good. So your students can use the Naviance Student College tab again to explore the different opportunities and areas for them to explore information. So specifically where we're gonna go is scrolling down to where it says scholarships and money. So there are 4 different links that are accessible for your students. The very first one that your students can click on is called the scholarship list. This is a list of local scholarships. Now these are added by either the district or by the school. They are still working on adding a few more. I think there's only 1 in there right now. But when they click on scholarship list, that's where they'll be able to see any local ones unique to this high school, or any scholarships unique to the district. The district previously had a database of scholarships on the district website. That's what they're working to pull into Naviance right now. So for your students, they'll be able to see any. The second link that we see is called Scholarship Match. What the Scholarship Match tool does is it helps your students to find scholarships that are specifically available for them to qualify to apply for. So the Scholarship Match uses your students' demographic information and their test scores or their GPA. And if there's a scholarship that has a minimum, like minimum of a 3.0 GPA, it'll only show them the scholarships that they qualified to apply for. So getting it out of the way of scholarships that don't matter to them, some they shouldn't waste their time applying to if they don't have the opportunity to be awarded that value. There's millions of dollars of scholarships that go unawarded every year just because students don't apply. So if your kid is the only one that applies, guess you just won a scholarship. So definitely a lot of opportunities. I know right now they're still working on adding more and more scholarships into Naviance right now, in terms from the local and Prince George's County side. So more to come for those, but the scholarship list and the scholarship match are all gonna be local-based scholarships. Any questions about it so far or where to see that information?
How often is it updated, the list, do you know?
It's by each counselor, so we can ask Ms. Simpkins when it might be updated. I know the district one is working on adding district ones this month, but school level ones, it's up to the counselor. Good question. So then the very last link that we will take a look at, see here, I'm gonna go back and keep scrolling you back up, there we go. So I'm gonna go back to our scholarship, and the very last thing I want to show you guys on the colleges tab in Naviance, under scholarships and money, is the very last link that says National Scholarship Search. So we have a partnership with Sallie Mae that allows your students to enter some qualifying information, demographic information about themselves, their age, ethnicity, gender, test scores, GPA, all that stuff. And again, it will show them based off of a national list of scholarships, which ones do they qualify to apply for based off of national scholarships. So going beyond the state of Maryland, for the entire country, there's a list of scholarships. So your students, when they click on it the very first time, it will give them an overview that our partnership with Sallie Mae does redirect them outside of Naviance, so they can click to continue. Go. The very first time, the student had already used it, but the very first time your students will click on it, they'll be able to see a list of optional areas that they can enter, so fields that they can enter that will give them more suggestions on scholarships that they qualify for. So obviously, the more that your student answers, the more the narrowed down scholarships it will offer them. So helpful for your students. As soon as they enter at least a few qualifying information, demographic data or test score information, it'll show a list of scholarships that look like this. So again, these are the national scholarships that your students, if they're interested in, they can go ahead and click on the scholarship. It'll give them a synopsis of the scholarship itself, as well as giving them an overview of any requirements. They can plan to apply. They can identify if they did apply to this scholarship, as well as if they won the scholarship as well. We want to try to start encouraging students to identify the scholarships that they're applying for through Naviance, whether it's the local or the national scholarships.
Excuse the interruption, we'll be wrapping up this first session at 6:35.
Okay, that's nice. They gave us 5 extra minutes. And then if your students didn't win, they want to know that as well, just so that they want to be able to help support future students as well as they're applying for scholarships. So we're really trying to encourage this. That way the district knows the number of scholarships that are being applied for every year. And if there's a greater need for scholarships, they want to be able to tell that if there's students that aren't getting awarded money every year. So we're trying to use this as a means for tracking that information across the school and across the district. So that we can ensure that there's enough value to go around for students who need that opportunity and that need that additional financial aid to go to college. So the National Scholarship Search is really helpful. Your students, again, encouraging them to search for them in Naviance, whether it's local or district or national based through our Sallie Mae partnership, and identifying the ones that they're applying to. Any questions about the scholarships in Naviance?
Question.
Yeah.
Are these scholarships being granted by their parents' income?
What was that?
You know, some scholarships we receive regarding a person's income.
Mhm.
Reason why our daughter, we have a daughter, she's 28, and her student loan is through Sallie Mae, and it got sold and different things like that. But she applied for certain scholarships, and the first thing they did ask was our income.
So that's through Sallie Mae, like the federal aid. The scholarship aid and federal aid are two different. The students are applying for federal aid to be given sums of money that help them pay for tuition.
Right.
These scholarships are more smaller based, where it's not required for you to enter an income value,
Okay.
but it is a demographic field that you can enter in case that there are scholarships that are being awarded to families that make into a certain income bracket.
Right.
So some do offer scholarships based off of that, and they do show up in Sallie Mae that you can enter your income. Good question. All right.
So,
Yeah.
I saw where you had to go through the kids' profile to get to that.
Yeah.
Can the parents log in or you have to go through it?
So that's a great question. So she asked if parents have accounts. Right now, since this is just our second year, they're actually working on creating parent accounts right now. So right now, a way for you to get in is to use your students' information. It's the same way that we logged in this evening. But in the next few months, the district will be emailing and sending out paper communications about how you guys can use and create your own accounts. Parents have what we call a view, not do aspect of Naviance, really because we don't want parents to go in and do all the assignments for their student. So you all can still see everything. You can do all the scholarship searches just like they can. You're just not able to take the assessments for them. You're not able to apply to college for them. It's the responsibility of the student to do those things. So absolutely, once we get your accounts created, the school will be communicating that information to you in the coming weeks, hopefully, when we get that set up. But for now, you can use your students' information if you want to practice anything or try anything out. Cool. And with our scholarships too, I'm just gonna go back over to our scholarships tab. Our entire goal really for Naviance is to encourage your students to add colleges to their favorites list, add careers to their favorites list, so that we can see that growth over time. They can do the same thing with scholarships. They can add them to their applying to list. So as your students explore scholarships, either nationally or in the local scholarship